Live here from Charlotte, and I know you got your deck list counter here. 9 different decks so far.
9 different decks we've seen on camera so far.
Modern doesn't need any fixing. We're good, man.
Wizards, don't screw it up.
We're good.
Don't screw it up, like everything else.
Hey, they're doing good work.
Was that too much?
They're doing good work over there.
That's fair.
I'm excited to see Hour of Devastation.
They do have great digital products.
They're doing good work. They both kept 7. Street Wraith is what BBD is going to cycle. Down to 15 he goes already. Great start for a Death Shadow player. Okay, 13. Okay, I see you, BBD. That's my favorite thing. That's my first turn. Cycle, pass. Go ahead. Zack's turn, a lot less interesting with just a little Wooded Foothills and passing the turn. Brian's going to play Thought Scour Death Shadow. Thought Seas go to the graveyard, adds a new card to his hand. And let's see what comes next here for the World Champion.
That's a lot of cards to look at on turn 1.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Especially when the graveyard's another resource that they take advantage of. Pretty good.
That could be some of the appeal of the deck.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And you said like we're going to see a lot of Grixis Death Shadow, but at least it's an interactive deck. There's a lot of decisions. There's a lot of play back and forth. It'd be much worse if it was just some sort of 2-card combo deck that kind of ignored his opponent.
Yeah, I like this deck. I think it's interactive. I think the games are always very interesting because you are trying to bring yourself so low, which Brian is doing a great job of right now, as he's fallen down to 11 on the second turn of the game and has found a copy of Death Shadow. But you are always kind of walking this weird little tightrope. Here's a Delta. I think we're going to see him go down to 8. Yeah. Let's see what Lanny wants to go get. There's a Blood Crypt. I have a feeling I'll be playing this at the Modern Grand Prix next week.
Sure, you're taking some notes here?
I have no idea what I'll be doing. Like, I don't know how to play. I've never played a game with a deck, but I get to watch it a lot. So, and I get to watch awesome players play it, so maybe I'll be able to figure it out. Is Zack's, boy, he's got 1 card in the graveyard.
Yeah.
He's got a Wooded Foothills. That's going to search up a stomping ground.
Yeah, Brian's looked at a million cards this game, has a big fatty in play, He's dealt himself a lot of damage, which doesn't matter. Very few decks in the format are capable of taking advantage of an opponent at 8 life on turn 2. It's pretty impressive to watch.
Zack's going to play a Farseek. His turn's a lot less explosive. He searches up a stomping ground. And we're heading over to BBD, who will untap, and he will draw. Picked up a copy of Serum Visions. See what Brian wants to do with that here in just a moment. A lot to think about here for the World Champion.
Yeah, ideally, I think Brian would want to get 1 more threat on the board or make his Death Shadow just a little bit bigger and have a counter spell to sit on for backup.
Serum Vision's the play.
Giant Death Shadow plus Stubborn Denial plus 1 other guy potentially. Just close this game out super quick.
Time to scry.
3 p.m. Sealed Spectacular. 3 p.m. Sealed Spectacular. Your seedings for deck construction are being posted on green paper by the Gathering Point flag. Once again, 3 p.m. Sealed Spectacular.
And now there's a Steam Fence untapped.
I like it.
Point flag.
And Brian's already down to 6. Voss will draw. Didn't get a great look at the draw step. But you see a Primeval Titan. He's got a Simian Spirit Guide, secure a Tribe Elder, which could buy him a little bit of time potentially.
Yeah, the Elder's actually a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't take a whole lot for him. If he gets a Valakut and that Primeval Titan onto the board, game's just over.
It doesn't take much at all. That's the thing about the Death Shadow deck is they do so much work to kill themselves. Is here's a Thought Scour, Thought Seize, and Grimmack Angler go to the graveyard. Brian will draw another card. But they do so much damage on themselves that, this red-green Breach deck, which can deal damage in oodles and oodles, as there's a Fatal Push to take care of the Tribe Elder. Brian could be dead next turn easily. He needs to have something like Stubborn Denial, in my opinion. But we'll see. Picked up a copy of Tassiger.
Yeah, he could easily be dead next turn, but also he literally just needs to live one more turn, and he's closing out the game. Right now, he's just going through a little math. He's seeing any way I can get to 1 life and just finish the game right here.
Snapcaster Thoughtseize is certainly an option. Bring him down a little bit lower. It is kind of funny, right? If he drew a fetch land,
Yeah.
he could do Snapcaster plus Thoughtseize,
Yep.
and then crack a fetch, go down to 1, and then be able to kill his opponent, I think. That's wild. And here is Snapcaster Mage, and there's the Thoughtseize. You see, ooh. Anger the Gods, Primeval Titan. Let's make it 2 Titans. A Simian Spirit Guide, and a Chandra. Now, Chandra's not going to be enough to get the job done. And we might just see Brian take the Simian Spirit Guide.
Yeah, just take the mana source, and if his opponent doesn't peel a land next turn, easy win. Even if his opponent does peel the land next turn, he might just be chump blocking with a Primeval Titan.
Well, if the land is a mountain, well, let's see. What's the situation here? It's got 5 mountains on the back. Well, he's got a Wooded Foothills is one of them.
Sure, but if he tutors up Valakut Mountain, he's only dealing 3.
3, yep.
Brian is conveniently at 4 life right now.
That is rather convenient at the moment. And Brian does have a Stubborn Denial in hand, so Zack is going to maybe sacrifice his fetch land. And Zack is down to 3. Jeez. Let's make it 2.
How big do you want your one mana creatures to be?
It's rough actually going down to 2 here, because if he were going down to 3, he'd actually probably be okay, because he could play Primeval Titan and chump block.
Yes.
But the fact that he's going down to 2 means the Snapcaster Mage actually gets the job done. So if he draws a land, he'll have to get Primeval Titan and kill the Snapcaster Mage.
And then chump block.
And then chump block, but then he's got another Primeval Titan to potentially get the job done. So
Yes.
time to untap. It's getting dicey. He's got to draw a land for any of
Got
this
to draw
matter.
a land, yep.
Hiya!
That's a land.
That is a land. That's a Windswept Heath, which should be a basic forest. As he goes down to 1. And now it should be prime time.
Yeah, don't shuffle that deck.
I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to say it. It's a bad habit. There's prime time.
Oh, shuffling your deck when you search is a bad habit?
Yep. Well, hold on. Hold on a minute. Hold on a second. All right. There is the Valakut trigger off the Stomping Ground. That's going to take care of that Snapcaster Mage. And now BBD's in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah. He needs another discard spell to get rid of the Titan in the hand.
But it needs to be not a Thoughtseize spell.
It needs to not be Thoughtseize because there's Chandra on the other side.
Let's take a look at Stubborn Denial real quick. Make sure we know exactly how that card is worded.
Stubborn Denial, not great against Titans.
Yep, we know that much. Now it's counter target non-creature spell. So, if he so it can't counter Chandra.
Yes.
Which is a big deal. So
Yep.
if he's able to go Snapcaster Mage plus Thoughtseize, or is drawing a Thoughtseize, take care of the Primeval Titan in hand. He has a Stubborn Denial in hand, does Brian. And that would be able to counter the Chandra.
And Brian chose to sit on a Stubborn Denial 1 turn, I believe.
I'm not sure he's ever had the window to cast it.
No,
anything relevant.
No. But he did not deploy a Tassiger.
Oh, sure. He could have furthered his board along. Well, here's the easy part. Yeah, you're blocking. We know that.
Not very often that Primetime just chump blocks.
Now, I think what we're going to see here, Does he have another Snapcaster Mage in hand? It looks like he does. This does not feel good, folks. I'll tell you that right now.
Now he's got to fade
a lot. He's got to take Primeval Titan. He's got to fade a mountain.
Yep. Anything that searches for a mountain.
Yep. All that stuff. This is the full fingers crossed situation. Zack Voss is going to draw. He's found a Cinder Glade. That will work just fine. Target Brian, and he's going to get the job done. So Zack Voss, with some timely top decks of lands, is going to win game number 1 here against Braun-Duin. Red-Green Breach squeaks one out there against Grixis Death Shadow in the first game.
Yeah.
Had to draw that land to start.
Yes.
2 turns ago to be able to cast Primeval Titan, and then that turn, a lot of outs.
Yeah.
To be able to win the game.
And to me, the interesting decision is it looks easy for Brian just to take the Simian Spirit Guide there.
Mm-hmm.
But if he takes a Titan there instead.
Okay. Take one Titan, let the other Titan come down.
It still chump blocks.
It still has a chump block, sure. And how's the situation different? Now,
he doesn't necessarily have to Thought Seize again, bringing himself from 4 to 2.
That's also true. That's curious how that game would play out if he takes a Titan and doesn't take the Simian Spirit Guide.
Yeah. I mean, taking the Spirit Guide is the... If he doesn't draw a land that comes and play on tap, it's just the instant winner.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand why he did it.
Yep.
But that is a decision that potentially he could say to himself, well, I don't need to go for the instant winner. Like, if I make this other play, it's going to take me longer to win, but I will have a better long-term plan.
Maybe he'll win a higher percentage of the time that way,
yes.
too. That's a good question, and I'm sure that's what Brian's probably thinking about right now as he sideboards. And let's talk about his sideboard. With 3 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Stubborn Denial, 2 Surgical Extraction, 2 Anger of the Gods, 1 Liliana, the Lasso, 2 Collective Brutality, a Grafdigger's Cage, now Spellbomb, and his Staticaster. Talk to me about these 15.
There's not a whole lot of great decisions here. There's not a whole lot of great options. The Stubborn Denials are going to be good for some early disruption. That game, we didn't see them line up very well. You know, if your opponent plays Secure Tribe Elders and ramps straight into a Primeval Titan, you don't really want Stubborn Denials in your hand. But a lot of the times, he's going to require a lot more ramp spells, instant sorceries to do what he's doing. So I can see these other Stubborn Denials coming in.
We go to the other side here for Zack Voss, who's currently up a game. He's got 4 Chalice of the Void, 3 Obstinate Baloth, 2 Ancient Grudge, 2 Ensnaring Bridge, 2 Sudden Shock, a Reclamation Sage, and a Pithing Needle.
I like these Chalice of the Voids.
I think these could be good here.
Yeah, we saw just how backbreaking they were in the Burn matchup just a round ago. So I like bringing those in. The question is, does he want to be able to fight on the battlefield a little bit more? Does he want Obstinate Baloth in his deck? Does he want a weird card like Ensnaring Bridge? That seems very solid in this matchup. Brian can't really control. Once his creatures are big, they're big, and they're not going to be able to sneak through an Ensnaring Bridge. And bringing in a whole lot of artifacts with Chalice of the Void and Ensnaring Bridge really stresses how many answers BBD has. So I can see that whole slew of cards coming in.
Well, those are the options there for Zack Voss, who's off to another great start here this weekend in Charlotte. He is 4-0, as is your current world champion, Braun-Duin. They will sideboard and shuffle. Game number 2 going to be underway here in just a moment. But let's talk about the newest member of the Creature Collection. You've seen it on our lapels here this weekend. It's the Aquatic Assassin, Murderous Red Carp. And it is available now, not only at game night, but also for you to purchase in playmat, sleeves, and playa bundles. Go to StarCityGames.com/Creature Collection. Pick up your Murderous Red Carp Creature Collection items today.
It's a nice hat.
It is a nice hat. Is that a dead fish?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Is there? Ooh, I think there's a piece. There's an orange on there too.
Yeah, a little slice of lemon.
That's nice.
Yep.
That's nice. I wish I had anything resembling that amount of creativity.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you wished you had a fish on your head.
No, that's not it. That's not it.
I thought you came up with all the creature collections.
I wish. No.
Just you in a dark room, just brainstorming ideas.
I just have just notes upon notes. It's like Jerry T's notebook that everyone talks about, but it's just failed creature collections.
You come out and you're covered in paint and stuff from like sketching ideas and drawing, painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all me. It's totally right. It's all me. Looks like Zack's going to take a mulligan here. See if we can learn a little bit more about Braun-Duin, your current world champion.
He can cast a spell.
He does okay. He does okay. He hasn't been doing great with the Marvels recently, unfortunately for Brian. But the 30-year-old who currently resides in Roanoke, Virginia, with 14 open top 8s, 1 victory, 4 invitational top 8s, no victory there just yet. But He was studying computer science before he decided to focus on his Magic the Gathering career. He was his high school valedictorian, learned to play Magic in college, heck of a chess player too, and he's your current world champion, man.
Yeah, Magic is so much fun.
It's a pretty fun game. It's a pretty fun game.
Like, you see people come from other games, more established disciplines like chess, and Magic's just so much fun.
It's number one for me. Always has been, always will be. As the Serum Visions is out, Brian's going to kick things off. He'll scry 2. We'll see where he wants to move these 2 cards here in just a moment. Somehow, been doing this for... I'm going to carry the 1 here. I'm about half my life. Basically since 15. Just never gotten old. It always feels different and new. And there's a new set coming out. Now we're Devastation very soon. Here's a Chalice. Oh, boy. Well, there's Chalice for 1.
That's a good start, yeah.
This could really destroy Brian's hand right away. Now, Brian does have access to Kolaghan's Command in his deck. I want to make sure he had 2 copies. And I think he may have a copy in his hand right now, but this Chalice for 1 could shut him down. You think about the 1-mana spells, Death Shadow, Lightning Bolt, Thought Seizing, Physician of Kozilek, Fatal Push, which is probably not in his deck anymore, Stubborn Denial, which probably is, Thought Scour, and Serum Vision. So
that's a lot of cards.
That's a lot of cards that could have just been shut off.
And, you know, he might not even have the mana to cast this Kolaghan's Command. And even if he does, just waiting 2 more turns, you know, 2 free turns for Zack is a ton.
Now, Zack with no ramp spells, Brian's going to play, looks like a Scalding Tarn, simply pass the turn back. Zack's going to sacrifice that Bloodstained Mire. He'll search up a land here as he falls down to 17. We'll see if Brian will have an answer for this or not as this game does continue. But new set now, Devastation coming out. We've seen a couple cards from that we'll go over this weekend. Nicol Bolas, the new Samet Planeswalker. And Bantu's Last Reckoning, I believe, is the new Black Wrath. But, you know, new set, that means new previews coming. And if we're going to, everyone as a community still, after all these years, does the same thing. Refresh at like 11 and midnight, 11 a.m. and midnight, see what the new cards are going to be, who's previewing what. That excitement still has never gotten old.
Yeah, this the 2 weeks leading up to a new set are just so exciting.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
And then after the new set comes out, someone shows us what the one best card is in it, and it's ruined again.
Yeah. What do people who don't play Magic get excited about like 4 times a year? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like a vacation or a holiday or something?
I was going to say, they probably go places.
That's lame. There's Kolaghan's Command. Make a discard, too. So Brian does have the answer. There goes the Summoner's Pack. So he is out of a pretty hard lock there from Zack Voss, killing the Chalice.
Maybe they've got kids or something that bring them some level of satisfaction.
Yeah. I'd rather have my cardboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I got my Magic. I got my basketball team.
Yeah.
Good to go.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm easy. Give me a book, too.
Just your laptop and an internet connection. And
also totally fine.
You don't need another person in the world.
Here's a Thoughtseize. And Zack's hand, not particularly good. You see another copy of Summoner's Pact, Through the Breach, and a Primeval Titan. Curious to see how Brian wants to poke a hole in this one.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting hand because obviously the Summoner's Pact makes the Titan redundant.
Well, he's going to take that Titan. Going to take maybe the Through the Breach challenge, but perhaps he has a another discard spell or a Stubborn Denial.
Yeah.
Here's a Thought Scour. Brian going to target himself. Lightning Bolt in the graveyard, as is Kolaghan's Command. Draw a card. It's a Serum Visions, and perhaps we're going to see a Tasigur in a moment. We'll see a Serum Visions instead. Brian will draw, Sculpting away. He'll scry 2 now. Street Wraith among those cards. I believe Gurmag Angler the other.
Man, this deck looks at a lot of cards.
It does. It does. That's a lot of the appeal.
And he didn't even do anything. Turn 2, took it off.
Magic player
Yeah.
Kim
Turn 3 was just the
Ballard.
K command.
Kim Ballard, your commander event is.
And now he's up and running again.
Yeah.
Both these cards look like they're going to go to the bottom there for Brian. He'll play a
Please
land.
make your way up to side event registration again. Kim Ballard, please report to side event registration.
You can see the Stubborn
Your
Denial in
commander
here.
event is ready to begin.
Keep in mind, that's his only land for the turn. On turn 3, he simply passed, played Kolaghan's Command, killed the Chalice. So, land number 4 there in Bloodstained Mire. And he'll sacrifice the Bloodstained Mire. So let's see where Brian wants to go next. You can see his hand. He does have a copy of Surgical Extraction. Yeah, not yet.
You're talking about how long you've been playing Magic before. For how many years? When I was coming from the airport to the hotel,
Okay.
you know, the Uber driver's always asking you what you're in town for, how long. So I'm chatting with this guy. He's like, oh, how did you start doing this, you know? And I was probably 14 or 15, and I would ride my bicycle to the local baseball card shop, you know, the sports card store, and I would buy sports cards. You know, I had a bunch of baseball cards and basketball cards, and, you know, the gem of my collection was that Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card.
It's a good card right there.
It was a good card back in the day. I don't know if anyone cares anymore.
Nah, probably not. But
And, you know, just the one day I go in there, and there's some people playing a game with cards that look like baseball cards, you know? And I was just like, what's going on over here?
what are you guys so excited about?
Yeah, and, you know, it had all the same aspects of sports cards. Like, you know, it's fun to open packs, it's exciting, there's cool artwork, they're very collectible, you can trade with your friends. But then there's the whole competitive side where you actually do something with these cards when you collect them. And I was just like, all right, never buying another sports card again. You know, like just.
You saw Surgical Extraction take care of Primeval Titans. And now Zach's going to play a Farseek. He's going to search up a Stomping Ground. He'll shuffle and present. Brian sacrifices Bloodstained Mire. He got a Steam Vents. He'll shuffle and present. I used to collect comic book cards. So, like, I had all the X-Men cards and X-Force and everything else. I collected those when I was a kid because my dad reads a lot of comic books. So I used to collect those and have them in a binder. And eventually, I was introduced to the very powerful Polar Kraken. And that was that.
Just, yeah,
That was it.
Ice Age fatty.
Oh, yeah, that's game. That was it for my my comic book card collecting days and everything else. My video game days, which is what I used to do all day, every day.
Well, and all those things that you had back in the day, your comic book cards and your Polar Krakens have both accumulated in value nicely over the years.
They are worth so much. You have no idea. Pretty much the retire. Forget the 401k.
Yep.
How much was anyone willing to buy this Polar Kraken for?
You have a Polar Kraken heavy portfolio.
I like to make sure that the Polar Kraken is never on the StarCityGames.com weekly sale, so that it stays where it needs to. Summoner's Pact bites the dust there from Inquisition of Kozilek. And now here is a Thoughtseize. Well, Primus down.
That's actually really good.
Yeah, because so no creatures left for Through the Breach?
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to put a Secure Tribe over there.
Nice! Nice.
Sneak in a Simian Spirit Guide at some point.
For which player? Woodfall Primus. I think he just drew another copy of Through the Breach.
Yeah, a gem.
Yeah, boy. Brian has he started to eliminate basically all of Zack's good draws. Now, what Brian does not know, perhaps, no guarantee of this, there's one Scape Shift in the deck.
Yeah. Well, he did surgical extraction.
He did surgical, you're right. So he did pick up that information of if it's still there.
So hopefully he noticed.
If it's in the deck or not.
Yeah, if it is and if it's not. But, I mean, Zack is so far away from Scape Shifting an opponent.
Got a long way to go.
Well, you don't have to go that far against the Death Shadow decks.
Yep.
They do most of the work for you.
Yep.
But, you know, he does have to have 6 mountains and Valakut.
And the opponent not to have a big creature and a Stubborn Denial or anything else.
Yeah.
A lot's going to have to go right for Zack Voss to win this game.
Well, and this is what's interesting about the Grixis Death Shadow deck is it plays the control game so well sometimes. It's like, okay, I didn't have a fatty, but I had everything else. And everything else is often good enough.
Snapcaster Mage is going to recast the Serum Visions. Brian sculpting yet again, looking for some sort of big creature. His 2 cards are going to go to the bottom. Tassiger, Gurmag Angler, Death Shadow, where are you? As Zack Voss is going to untap. He has a Forest. A Through the Breach. And a Chandra.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't a second Through the Breach.
It was a better red card, that's for sure. Plus. And he'll reveal a Wooded Foothills.
Bang!
Brian down to 5. Well, Voss is going to have to get creative and win this game, but he's got the opportunity to. Thoughtseize the draw there for BBD.
Don't do it, BBD.
Yep. Going to go after the... Yeah, do not. As Chandra's going to fall down to 1. The draw is a mountain. And Zack Voss getting closer.
Yeah, he really is.
He's going to plus. We'll reveal a card. Sakura Tribe Elder.
Awkward.
Yeah. It is awkward. But he's going to knock Brian down to 3. Mountain, pass the turn back with just a through the breach. BBD will draw. Gurmag Angler, I believe, is what he's picked up. One will kill a Chandra, the other will deal Zack Voss 2. Braun-Duin down to 3, Voss down to 12.
Yeah, it looks like BBD's just firmly in the driver's seat now. He's going to cross the finish line in the next 2 turns here, outside of some pretty spectacular draw steps from Zack.
You mean Valakut plus Mountain?
Yeah.
Would those be the draw steps?
Well, exactly that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it does. Valakut plus.
Well, I think search spell gets countered.
Yeah.
I think in most instances here.
Yeah.
It's got to start with Valakut, I think.
Could be Sakura Tribal there. Come on, Zack. Give us a good sweat here.
I love a good sweat. Come on. 4 mana. Oh, boy.
Ooh.
I think it's Stubborn Denial's got to take care of that. There we go. And now Zack, I think he knows he's beat, but he'll let that get countered. Brian's going to quickly untap and draw. He'll start by playing a Serum Visions, I believe. Yes, draw a card. Scry 2 here in just a moment. Will Brian. Stubborn Denial, Thoughtseize among those cards. Bottoms up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Voss going to fall down to 3. And I really hope he plays the Through the Breach. There's the Valakut. Jeez. Jeez. 1 turn too late, Valakut, as Brian Braun-Duin is going to tie things up here against Zack Voss. Grixis Death Shadow, Red-Green Breach. They're getting ready for a 3rd one here. Brian able to overcome Chalice of the Void there. Fortunately for him, he did leave in Kolaghan's Command, which is a good card in the matchup, I think, anyway.
Sure. Yeah, we saw the other one get milled into his graveyard later in the game, so he kept both of them in.
Now, what's interesting is that it is difficult for Brian if he does face a Chalice on 1. His deck does not function nearly as well as we saw.
Yeah.
So would you, if you're in this spot, Greg, would you board in something like Ceremonious Rejection?
If he is going to, it's just going to be kind of a one of maybe a 2 of it. He definitely wouldn't bring in all 3 of them here. To be more specific, I would not bring them in.
Okay.
I mean, it kind of sucks. Your opponent's going to play a Chalice and just blow up your game plan, but you know, I think Ceremonious Rejection is so mediocre in every other situation that it's not a card you want in your hand.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tough. I think it's tough, but and also he's going to be on the draw this game, and it is very possible for Zack to just play Chalice on turn 1 because of Simian Spirit Guide.
Sure.
So the Ceremonious Rejection would be very bad, truly horrible actually. So it's tough to want to bring that card in, but we'll see. We'll see as Brian is going back to the drawing board here. It looks like he's happy with his configuration, so he's going to shuffle up and get ready for this 3rd and final game against Zack Voss. Let's talk about that StarCityGames.com, a weekly sale here very quickly, folks, where you can get 50% off thousands of non-English cards, even you, Craig. And more importantly, the old wife can get you a Firelit Thicket, a Swords of Plowshares, a Cabal Coffers, Life from the Loam, or something else.
None of that.
You don't want any of those? Is there anything on your hit list here that you'd like?
The promo Elishnorn?
Oh.
What language is that? It's like Sanskrit or some weird?
I think it's in Eldrazi. I'm assuming that's just Eldrazi language. I don't know what they speak. Maybe it's in Sanskrit. I don't know.
I thought it was an actual language.
I know exactly what card you're talking about.
Yeah, the card looks awesome.
It's a very good looking card. It's a beautiful card. So that's what the wife's gonna have to get, huh?
And I'm sure she'll have no problem finding it on the website.
Should already be there when you get home.
Yeah.
Back to New Jersey Monday morning. Go to StarCityGames.com/weekly sale.
If she just goes to StarCityGames.com.
That's us.
She does a quick search just for Elishnorn, weird, crazy language.
Should only yield one result.
Yeah, it'll come right up.
Both players going to take a look at their openers here. I'll take a non-English Pristine Angel. My favorite artwork in Magic.
Okay.
That's what I want.
There's a lot of sweet artwork out there.
There is, no doubt, as there's a Valakut to start things. A Bloodstained Mire for Brian. That's a weak start. Come on, man.
Don't judge him.
Come on, man. He's going to get challenged real good. Well, does he have a Ceremonious Rejection?
He might just have a stubborn denial.
That's true. There's a Watery Grave. The Chalice is on the stack. How's it going to do?
And he might just be thought scouring.
Yeah. He is just thought scouring. Yikes. Snapcaster Mage and Tasker are going to go to the graveyard. Snapcaster Mage with the draw. So Chalice for 1 is going to stick. BBD is going to untap. It's going to get tough here. Surgical Extraction, that's the draw. That's no good. Blue Delta the play. Let's go over to Zack Voss.
We're going to see some mage beatdowns.
Whatever it takes. That's for sure. Here's a secure Tri-Belder. That'll resolve. Let's go back over to Brian, who's going to sacrifice a land. Fall down to 16. See how low he wants to go when he can't actually cast Death Shadow. Now, Zack Voss's hand is not all that impressive, but one card that he does have in his hand right now is Chandra Torch of Defiance. And that can bridge the gap to the Primeval Titans and everything else that he wants to get to.
Yeah, and on the flip side, Brian has a pretty decent graveyard here. So if he does have one of his Delve Fatties, he's going to be able to deploy it next turn.
Yeah, Gurmag Angler or Tasker, even though he has Tasker in the graveyard, I want to do a quick check. He is playing 2 Taskers this weekend. So here's, yes. Ambush Viper has arrived. And in.
We're going beat downs.
A block and a sack here from Zack Voss. He's going to get himself a basic mountain. That's Scalding Tarn. And Voss is going to sacrifice the Windswept Heath as well. So we'll get another land here, perhaps Stomping Ground. That's exactly what it's going to be. And Zack Voss is going to try to hide behind a Chalice of the Void once again.
And I can't imagine Brian has a Kolaghan's Command in his hand when he plays that Snapcaster Mage there.
Sure. Voss will draw, picked up a copy of Summoner's Pact. You see the hand, 2 copies of Secure Tri-Belder, that's Chandra that I mentioned, Summoner's Pact, and another copy of Chalice. Hey, this is Zach's best card. He needs this to resolve, and it looks like it's going to. Up to 5, top card is a Chalice of the Void. So Brian's going to take 2. He's going to fall down to 12.
Yeah, don't play that Chalice for 0.
So we'll see just how good Chandra Torch of Defiance can be. Another cross-format all-star.
Yeah, this is a card that was very hyped when it was spoiled.
People thought maybe the best Planeswalker of all time.
Yeah.
Dialed back a little bit.
Well, yeah.
just a smidge.
They had to pump the brakes real quick on that one.
Yeah. Really good card, no doubt, but...
I mean, the difference between 3 and 4 mana is just so massive.
Also, I think color makes a difference, too. Red, it's a good color, but it's not as good as blue or black sometimes.
Yeah, Mountain is no island.
That's true. Brian down to 9 now. Maybe he does have the Kolaghan's Command. Take that, Craig.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Maybe he tricked you. Gonna kill the Chalice. And it looks like... Yeah, Shatter discard, so Secure Tri-Belder was the discard. A little surprised not to see him go after the Chandra, maybe with a little bit of damage there.
Yeah, I would have thought he'd go Shatter Shock and redirect the damage to Chandra.
But I've learned over my years, don't ever doubt the world champ. He's got a plan, and we're going to see what he can execute. Terminate in hand here for Brian. Death Shadow has been unlocked.
Yeah, it looks like a couple Snapcaster Mages.
We can't forget that he milled one, too, with a Thought Scour. So he got one in the graveyard as well.
Yeah, if he has one or two of those in his hand, it actually makes a lot more sense that he played one that turn.
Just to get one on the battlefield?
Yeah, just, you know, you don't want to end the game and still have all that value in your hand.
Death's Shadow has arrived, and Brian's got 2 mana up. And a menacing demeanor. Looks like he's in the driver's seat now all of a sudden because Chalice is again off the battlefield. Chandra is going to provide a little bit of mana. Here's a Summoner's Pact, and the plan is Primeval Titan here from Zack Voss.
Now, it looks like this is happening.
Mm-hmm. He'll cast Primeval Titan. This is happening. Well, what's he? Another Valakut. Okay. Stomping Ground. Little surprised to see a second Valakut there.
Yeah, that's a little greedy getting a second Valakut.
Yeah.
He does have a Secure Tribe Elder in his hand, I believe.
He does, and he has a Cinderglade too. He's not played a land yet.
Yeah, so next turn.
He's got some work to do to get. So here's 4th Mountain Pass. We can't forget too that he's got to pay for Summoner's Pact. That's important.
Correct, but next turn he can play the Secure Tribe Elder, fetch up the land, get in with the Titan.
If the Titan lives.
Well, that's what his thought process is.
Yep.
Search up 2 mountains. They'll each trigger twice off of the Valakuts.
You'd be able to kill him that
and
way.
the game's over.
Well, Terminator took care of the Titan. Now Death Shadow's on the loose. Brian does have a copy of Surgical Extraction in hand as well.
And we saw this all last weekend. We've seen it a lot this weekend. They just look at so many cards. They filter through their deck so quickly that they always, not always, but often have the right answer. It just seems like when I look at the deck list, it doesn't do justice to just how smoothly and efficiently this deck runs.
Feels like they always find a way, right?
Yeah.
Because they just see, like you mentioned, so many cards, Thought Scours and Snapcaster Mages, Serum Visions and Straight Wraiths. You know, they see enough cards that they don't even have to play Bauble anymore.
Nope.
That's out of the deck.
Well, the Bauble was great when you had Tarmogoyfs. Get the graveyard, the artifact into the graveyard right away. So if you're not playing green, there's less reason to have an artifact in your deck. Traverse the Uvenwald is also another reason to play an artifact.
Brian thought scouring his opponent here, maybe to make the Surgical Extraction a little bit better. Get an idea of what Zack has in the graveyard now as you take a look at things. Death Shadow, tough deck to play, especially this Grixis version where you have so many options. So which way is he going to go? So Death Shadow's going to try to kill Chandra. That's going to work. Snapcaster Mage is going to deal Zack 2. Well, Zack down to 17. But if you're Brian, the goal, of course, is try to get this game over with as fast as possible.
Yeah, those 2 Valakuts staring at you are a big problem.
Tassiger. Delve away quite a few cards. What's next here for BBD, if anything? Now remember, he does have access to a Stubborn Denial. Been clutching on that pretty tight, just hasn't really had the opportunity.
Yeah, no reason to play it so far.
And he's also got that Surgical Extraction. We might see him stop Zack Voss in his draw step. Let's see.
First, he's making sure his opponent pays for the pact.
Wise. Now we're in the draw step. We'll see what Surgical Extraction is targeting. It's going to go after Primeval Titan. Now, Zack's draw is an interesting one. Most of the time, a land is whatever. A land is pretty good here. But he's got to be careful, too.
That one forest is really hurting him right
Yeah, it is. So Brian has eliminated the prime times. And I believe he's paid some life to do so. So we will confirm life totals. Yeah, he's down to 7 now. Death Shadow currently a 6-6. Tasker, of course, a 4-5. And Snapcaster Mage, just a boring old 2-1. But it all does add up. Chalice, Tribelder, and that Wooded Foothills. There is the Tribelder. Now keep in mind, Zack Voss right now, 4 mountains on the battlefield. Tribelder would be number 5. Wooded Foothills would be number 6. And the 6th one is 2 triggers with the Valakut. So he can knock Brian down to 1.
Yeah, let's take a look at this Valakut.
The Molten Pinnacle.
The Molten Pinnacle.
Yeah. Enters the battlefield tapped. Whenever a mountain enters the battlefield under your control, if you control at least 5 other mountains,
Yep.
you may have Valakut. Molten Pinnacle deal 3 damage. 2. Deal 3 damage to our creature or player.
A little bit worse.
Yeah, 2 is a lot less. There's Chalice for 1.
And Valakut, one of the few cards in Magic that has a proper name that's not legendary.
Yeah. This is true. The Chalice on 1 is interesting in this spot. Now remember, the Tribelder has the ability to search for a mountain at will and divvy up 6 damage, 2 Valakut triggers. I think we're going to see a Terminate, clear the way.
Tread carefully, BBD.
Yeah.
But
I mean the Valakut triggers can't go at Brian.
He can't damage Brian or he kills himself, essentially.
Makes Death Shadow too angry.
Yeah.
2 of them at Tassiger. All right. So Tassiger down.
Death Shadow, what a ridiculous card.
It really is. It really is.
Go ahead, man. Deal me 6 damage.
Yeah. Cool. It's a 12-12. You're dead now.
Yeah, just deal me 6 damage. Yeah. Oh, no? You don't want to deal me damage?
Oh, in we go. Zack Voss going to fall a little bit lower. Now the question is, what's his best draw as he untaps? All those lands. Look through the graveyard. Primeval Titans are gone. He'll draw a card. A 3rd Valakut is not what the doctor ordered, and he is going to extend the hand. Braun-Duin going to win this match over Zack Voss. 2-1. A little sigh of relief there for BBD as his Grixis Death Shadow deck is going to take care of Red-Green Breach, and he's going to move on. Is the world champion.